Hello and welcome to the program Election Debate. This is a program where political parties that have expressed an interest to take part in the forthcoming July 31st harmonized elections are invited to the studio to express and debate their policies and other issues related to the elections. Now in the studio today, we have invited Evans Sagomba of Mavambo. Welcome.
Thank you, Mamararke.
Francis Mufambi, MDC, welcome.
Thank you and welcome.
Mr. Douglas Monzora, MDC-T, you're very welcome.
Thank you.
And Psychology Maziwisa, ZANU PF, you are welcome.
Thanks very much indeed.
My name is Professor Mararike. Now, issues I want you to consider in your discussion relate to your policies on various issues and also the values of your parties, among other issues. Now, Mr. Sagomba, your values, the values of your party, your policies, what are you offering to the electorate?
Thank you, Professor Mararike. Zimbabweans, this is the election that we've all been waiting for the past 4.5 years. And as Mavambo Kusiledon, we are proposing a plan which we call Zimbabwe Recovery Growth Plan, which is anchored on what we call the 5 Rs, which are revival of the economy, restoration, renewal. We also need to revisit and rejuvenation. And in this Zimbabwe Recovery Growth Plan, we are anchored on 5 drivers of the economy, which are mining, agriculture, manufacturing, tourism, and energy. And energy being the key enabler and the driver of this economy, so that we can get this Zimbabwe, which is not working again.
Francis?
Okay. The MDC is a social democratic party, and it's one party in the country that have proved that beyond any reasonable doubt that they respect all aspects of democracy. Also of importance is their policy called the action plan, the action policy for devolution. Actions means access to resources, control of resources, transformation of social, political, and economic lives, initiatives of initiating jobs, for example, or organizing our parastate house institutions across the country, new technology and sustainability. This policy have proved to us beyond any reasonable doubt that it will be the one which will unlock the Zimbabwean economy, which is now in political doldrums, which is now causing the poverty, abject poverty to all Zimbabweans, which is now causing marginalization. So actions through devolution will be our thrust in this election.
Yes, I'll come back to you and raise the issues which are very important. Douglas Monzora?
Oh, thank you very much. To the Zimbabweans, we say that the MDC is a party that has got a vision. And the vision of the MDC for Zimbabwe is a modern, healthy, happy, functional, integrated, fair, prosperous, and democratic state that takes pride in leaving no one behind. We are guided by a few principles, and these principles are uplifting the economy, defending the constitution, reintegrating Zimbabwe into the international community of nations, devolution of power to the lower levels of government, as well as social justice. The MDC is a party of good news, bringing good news to the people of Zimbabwe, to the thousands, millions unemployed Zimbabweans. The MDC is promising jobs, and we are going to be creating 1 million jobs in a space of 5 years.
I'll come back to you, Mr. Monzora, on that one, and keep it up. We want to hear how you are going to keep up those promises. Psychology Maziwisa?
Well, thanks very much indeed. One thing that I can speak with enormous pride, I think, as an initial remark, as a ZANU PF representative, is that what we will offer the people of Zimbabwe come July 31st is President Robert Mugabe, a moral leader, a tried and tested leader who has been consistent, a president who is people-oriented in whatever he does, a president who is an international icon, and it would be an honor for the people of Zimbabwe to have once more President Robert Mugabe at the helm of our politics. But moving to the substantive issues, I think it's fair to say that we're looking at a variety of issues. Education, would like to see that program intensified. We count amongst the top countries when it comes to literacy. We are in fact the best country on the continent. Would like to see more funds being channeled in that regard. The healthcare system, would like to see it again, more funding being channeled in that regard. A land reform, we want more inputs. We want to make sure that our farmers improve their lives meaningfully, and that program, as far as we are concerned, is irreversible. The land reform program, as ZANU PF, we are going to make sure that we have security of tenure, we have title deeds, and so on and so forth. But most importantly for ZANU PF, we are saying we are taking back the economy. The time to take back the economy is now. We are not satisfied just by being politically independent. We want to see economic freedom. And that is where the indigenization economic empowerment program comes in. Already we have launched over 59 community share ownership trusts. We have benefited scores of communities across the country. We have empowered young people, and we would like to see again that program intensified through making sure that our women benefit, the youth benefit, members of the liberation struggle, war veterans, people living with disabilities, every citizen through, for example, the Sovereign Wealth Fund.
All right, I've heard you, ZANU PF. Now, all of you, beautiful ideas. Sagomba, how do you propose to implement, in terms of priority, the ideas you just raised earlier?
Thank you. The first and foremost thing that we need to do as Zimbabweans come the 1st of August is to sit down together as a united people. We want to highlight that at this point in time, we are not as united as we are supposed to be. But we believe in unity, there is achievement. And what we want to see the people of Zimbabwe, the first and foremost, is to be united as a people, and also united towards a common vision, which is the revival of this great country of ours. And so the first thing that we need to see is the issue of unity. Second thing, to remove the fear that is in the people. Everybody lives in fear in this country, and we are saying, come the 1st of August, let's sit down together as people and really work together and try to give the people of Zimbabwe what they've been yearning for the past 33 years. And we believe that in unity, the first thing, let us be united. MDC-T, MDC, ZANU PF, let us all be united and put our heads together. And when we put our heads together, we will really get our Zimbabwe working again. The first and foremost, is the unity that we are yearning for. And when we are united, we put our heads together. Plans have been put in place. We are known as the best country in the world in putting together plans, but we've not been implementing.
Good ideas about unity. Francis, you have said, did I hear you well? Devolution is our revolution. Does that tally with him about unity?
Yes, I think about unity, it's an overarching concept we all want. But in terms of devolution, we are now saying as a party, we want to have a political transformation through devolution. We want to have a social transformation through devolution. We want to have an economic transformation through devolution. What am I saying? I am saying politically, the political powers should be devolved. People should have the power to make decisions politically in their localities. People should have a right to control the local resources. That would only the medicine towards marginalization.
Let me interrupt you. Be clear there. How different is your suggestion from what is there now, or what others have proposed?
What is there now is a centralized system of governance, whereby all political powers are endowed in one person, if not a single capital city, or administrative powers are just in Harare maybe. We are saying we want to decentralize powers from Harare to go to a doorstep of someone in Chirundu. Someone in Chiadzwa should be able to have access to the resources in Chiadzwa, the diamonds. They should have a word about how those diamonds are used. We should also have a social transformation through devolution, where we have all women, all children, the elderly having security.
Mr. Monzora, is that any different from what you have on the ground?
Well,
does it sound anything familiar to you?
Well, fortunately, the MDC is the only political party in this country that has written policies on how it is going to govern Zimbabwe. We have these policies in Agenda for Real Transformation, in short, ART. And in our manifesto, we also put a 100-day plan, what we are going to do in the first 100 days. The most important thing in Zimbabwe and the biggest problem is the problem of unemployment. As I said earlier, we are sitting on 85% unemployment. Our youths who finish O-level, A-level, university, colleges, find themselves unemployed. And we have an army of unemployed people. So we want to make sure that we create employment. And the first thing that we must do is to make Zimbabwe part of the international community, to make Zimbabwe a friend of everyone, to make Zimbabwe a friend of the East, of the West, of the North, of the South. And to create a stable political economic environment where we respect the laws of our own country, the laws that we make. And once we respect the laws, and once we respect property, then we bring investment. And this investment is both domestic in the sense of people in this country investing in something, investing in business, well knowing that that business is safe and secure. It is also foreign investment where we want to attract foreigners to come and put their money in Zimbabwe, to build their businesses in Zimbabwe, and employ our people in Zimbabwe. We also are aware that there are Zimbabweans now who are not employment-minded, who want to be employers in agriculture and in small business. The greatest problem in agriculture and in small business is access to credit.
Yes, Mr. Monzora. Maziwisa, does that agree with your policy of indigenization, what Mr. Monzora is saying? Does it agree?
Well, certainly it doesn't. But let me just make a very brief remark on the principle of unity, which was raised by our colleagues here. I think ZANU-PF is the only party in Zimbabwe that does not talk of unity merely as a principle. It is actually our founding value. It forms part of our founding values. We have unity, we have peace, we have development. That is why we enjoy the kind of peace that we enjoy in Zimbabwe today. But to move to issues raised by Comrade Douglas Monzora, I think if there's one thing that I agree with him, that I agree with the MDC-T on, it is the need to create jobs in this country. But where we differ fundamentally is you want to create a real, tangible jobs. You don't just want to create things in your mind. He says MDC-T is the only party that has written policies. Firstly, I think that is not factually correct. Secondly, I don't think that policies should just be on paper. They must be tangible, they must be real. And this notion that a party that has failed to create a single job in the last 5 years can now claim to be able to create 1 million jobs over the 100 days that they're talking about, I think that is a fallacy. I think that is offensive to the people of Zimbabwe. As ZANU-PF, we are saying the indigenization program is already a real policy that is changing real lives. Go to Zishawane, go to Mondoro, go across our communities. We are seeing a real progress, meaningful progress. Our people have been empowered, our communities have been empowered, and we are not even going to go externally to look for money. The money is here in our resources. That is what we are saying as ZANU-PF, and we are saying at the end of it all, at the end of the indigenization program, we are looking to accrue over $7.3 billion in assets, which is already here in Zimbabwe, not in Britain or in America.
I will give Monzora time later to respond. Mr. Zagomba, you were very passionate about unity. What is the difference between your unity and the unity, perhaps, which is in the country at the moment?
The unity that I'm talking about real unity, where the people of Zimbabwe are able to sit together and be able to articulate issues without fear. And if you recall what I've said, that all of us, we live in fear of some different sort of fear. But we are saying the unity that we are talking, different from what we have right now, is where the people of Zimbabwe really sit down without really looking at the person next to them, what are they going to say, but really articulate issues, debate issues in really factual matters, without really saying we are seated in unity, like what Mr. Maziwisa says. Does it really need to take us 33 years?
Not like I have called you here. This
Yes.
is the unity.
It
you
is the
want.
unity. We are all here and
No,
we are
but
articulating
anyway,
our issues.
the point is, I've said, how different is it? I saw you people sitting together writing a constitution. I've seen that going on. Is that bad?
It's not bad.
Now, what more do you want?
We are saying, let's work together now. If I just take you back a bit, Professor, in 2008, we had a global political agreement, which in actual fact comprised of 3 parties. We are saying now we don't need 3 parties to determine the destiny of the people of Zimbabwe. We are saying let's have all of us, all the political parties. If I'm not mistaken, at one point it was said we've got 30 political parties. And I believe all of them have got different and unique ideas that are good for the people of Zimbabwe. We are saying as we go forward, let's not be just be fenced with 3 parties that we had in the global political agreement. We're saying let's us have a wholesome, not only by having political parties, but also
I'll
let's
have to stop you because we have to take a short break. We'll pursue that argument on whether we need 100 parties or 200 parties. That's one thing. I, for one, would want no political party at all. But anyway, when we come back, I will raise some of the issues, very interesting issues you are raising. Now, we'll take a very short break. Welcome back. The program you are watching is Election Debates. And we have in the studio representatives of 4 political parties that are going to take part in the harmonized elections come July the 31st. Now, Francis from MDC, you talked about devolution, access to assets, access to resources, and so on. Tell the viewers, how exactly do you want it done? I asked the question earlier, how different is it from what is there? I think you need to be a little more clearer on that subject.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to answer that question as a politician, and I will not religiously answer it. Devolution on its own, I think, is just a statutory decentralization of power, right? So what we are saying is, our communities are centralized. Zimbabwe presently is a unitary state. And that unitarism has caused marginalization. That unitarism is the one which has caused polarization. It's the one which has caused abject poverty to Zimbabweans. So how can we unlock ourselves from this situation? The situation is devolution. Why? We are now having people in their own rural areas having access to their own resources. Let's say people in Chiado, they will say, maybe they have diamonds. They will take at least 5% of that to develop their places. We still have very marginalized places in Binga, in Matobo there. It's simply because of unitarism, where power, political, administrative, economic power is being centralized in one place, particularly in Harare. So what we are saying is we should have companies operating in Gutu so that people in Gutu can be employed there. We are having people at Rengo Mine coming from Binga, coming from everywhere, when people in Mashingo are not employed. So that's how we are going to create jobs for people.
Maybe, Mr. Munzura, you can help me. What are really the functions, the normal functions of a good government? Help what he's saying.
Yeah, thank you very much. Let me say that the MDC-T is for devolution of power and pushed the principle of devolution power right into the constitution. Devolution is seen as an answer to uneven development. This is a situation where the local people determine the development priorities in their own local communities, and it is also democratic. An argument has always been advanced, unfortunately from ZANU-PF, that devolution brings disunity, it leads to secession. Unfortunately, that argument is not scientific. We have a few countries, maybe 4, I'll pick 4 in Africa, where we have had secessionism. One of these countries was the Congo. There was secession, I think, during the rebellion in the Katanga province and so on. But their constitution did not provide for devolution, but they seceded nevertheless. We have a situation in in Sudan, the northern and the southern Sudan. That country separated into two. Their constitution did not provide for devolution, but it happened nevertheless. We had the situation in Nigeria the other time during the Biafra and so on. Again, the Nigerian constitution of that time did not provide for devolution. So it is not correct that if a constitution provides for devolution, then it will lead to secessionism. Secessionists don't care about what your constitution says. Secessionists, the first thing they want to do is to remove the constitutional order. As Yasser Arafat the other time said, the problem is not with the roadmap. The problem is with the map itself. So for secessionists, the problem is with the constitution. They want to take the constitutional, tear the constitutional order apart. A good government or good governance, Professor, is a government that is responsive to the needs of the people of Zimbabwe. It is also a government that fears the people, that is not arrogant. It is a government whose institutions respect the will of the people of Zimbabwe. It is a government where the armed forces respect the choice of the people of Zimbabwe, not a government where armed forces will say we will not salute so and so on when he's elected president.
Maziwisa, you hear, are the examples given by Mr. Munzura, do they make sense to ZANU-PF?
They don't. I think it's just propaganda. I think that's what we've been getting from the MDC-T over a period of time, engaging in a campaign of smear and saying things that are not supported by the facts on the ground. Let me just again make preliminary remarks on the issue of devolution. We prefer ZANU-PF to remain a united country. That is our orientation as a party. Unfortunately, our counterparts are pursuing politics of regions and all kinds of things. We think that that is regrettable. But the issue of devolution, I think, is now a constitutional issue. It's not even an issue that can be debated at any platform. It is now forming, part of our constitution. ZANU-PF, obviously, because our founding values include the issue of unity, peace, and development, would prefer that we work as one people, as one nation, pursuing, hopefully, one agenda. And so, for example, when we say we want free primary education for all, we mean just that. We are not just talking about Harare or Mach Central or Gweru. We are talking of the entirety of Zimbabwe. The same thing with healthcare. When we say we want housing for all, we mean just that. That's exactly how we pursue the land reform program. We didn't look at what region you came from or what city you were coming from. We looked at whether or not you were a Zimbabwean person. We are doing the same thing with the indigenization program, making sure that all the communities, wherever they are, benefit from this. And I think that is the kind of leadership we want in this country.
That is, now, Sagomba, let me move a little away from the unity thing, and let's talk about the economy. The economy beginning with the land.
Yes.
Anything you're offering better than what is there now? On
Yes.
the land issue in terms of
let us
in terms
talk
of
about
policy.
the land issue, Professor.
Yes.
The land issue is critical to the people of Zimbabwe. There are certain things that we recognize as a party, that the land reform is not reversible. Fine, we have no problem. But we are saying that within that land reform program, the ZANU-PF government we had created also multiple farm owners, without mentioning names. We have got quite a number of people who benefited from the land reform, but still they are multiple farm owners. And they're saying we one farm for one person. We are saying we need to relook at the way the land was allocated. Those that have got multiple farm owners, they should give those to those that needs to, those that have not been allocated, that needs to use the land. Those that have been given the land must utilize the land. Professor, it's very shameful that at this point in time we brag around and say that we're importing food from Zambia, maize from Zambia. Yet we used to actually we used to export to Zambia. We used to give them food, but now it's the other way around. So we are saying, let's look at this issue of land holistically. And where ZANU-PF has failed, they must be men enough and say, no, at this point in time we failed. Here where they've really excelled, we say, yes, at this point you've excelled. But where you failed, take advice from us. Where you have failed, you have failed. Where you have excelled, you have excelled. So let's look holistically, this issue of land, it's critical to the people of Zimbabwe. We are not utilizing the land.
Do you have land yourself? Were you given a piece of
I
land?
applied and I was not given.
You still need land?
Yes, I still need
Of course
it.
you will get land.
Yes.
Francis, what do you say about the land issue?
Now, about the land issue, as the MDC, we are sure it's now very difficult to reverse the program. However, it was actually, to us, it was only a land grabbing process which was done randomly. So as a party, we are saying, no, we need a clear land audit. We are against multiple farm owners. And for the record, these farm owners are only top echelons in ZANU-PF. And if I'm going to buy a ZANU-PF card today, that's when I will be assured that I will get a piece of land.
I think let's correct that impression. You know, we want your viewers to get the correct facts. You need to be to give facts about what you are saying. A program with allegations and so on will not be a good one. What are the facts? Let's get the facts.
Yeah, I think, Prof, if you want to be even realistic yourself, you understand that there's people like the Chombos in the Ministry of Local Governance, multiple stands, that is land. So that is actually evidence of how these people are abusing our land. The land reform program, when it was done, it costed nearly 300,000 people jobs, right? But today, ZANU-PF people will come and say we want to create jobs for people when they are the ones who caused that unemployment. So we are saying the land should be audited. Land redistribution should be done without a party affiliation.
Yes, good. Maybe you want a quick response.
Yeah, look, these allegations, these claims have been there. I think it's part of the propaganda machinery again. But what are the facts, like you say? The fact
I want the facts, yes.
Yeah, of course. The fact is that we took over 12 million hectares of land from just 3,000 white commercial farmers and redistributed it across Zimbabwean households to nearly 500,000 ordinary Zimbabweans. We've had several independent people confirm that, even people from Britain. The fact of the matter is that our people are beginning to see the benefits of the land reform program through the small-scale tobacco farming, for example. People talk of high echelons and all kinds of things. I know of ordinary people from Zishawane, from Binga, from Rusape, from all over, who have done well through the land reform, who have been queuing over the last weeks to sell their tobacco at the auction floors. These are ordinary men and women with babies strapped on their backs. I didn't see any high-profile.
Let's get a balanced view on the land.
Or
if you can give one.
Yes, I'll try to, and try to be fair and give the facts as you rightly pointed out. The facts of the matter, I agree with Mr. Mfambi entirely. The land reform program was politically biased. All people who got land are connected to ZANU-PF one way or the other. They are either party card holders or sympathizers of ZANU-PF, or perceived sympathizers of ZANU-PF. I'm a living example of a person who was denied land. I stay in Nyanga. I'm a member of the Tangwena family, who are the royal family in the area. I was denied land in my own land because of my political affiliation. So the politics played a part in land redistribution. But what the MDC is saying is that it is not going to harass anybody who is on land, because these people are Zimbabweans. And what the MDC's policy is going to be, the program, is to make sure that those people who are owning pieces of land, no matter how they got them, those who are owning pieces of land will be given access to credit so that they are able to buy fertilizer, they are able to buy inputs, they are able to buy machinery to make their farms more productive. We want productivity, so access to credit, that's number one. Number two is security of tenure. They must have security where they are staying. They must be able to go to the bank and say, I have my land in Mazoe and I want credit, and get it. And in our first 100 days as the MDC, we are going to establish the Land Commission that is already in the Constitution, but you need to appoint manpower and women power in it. So we are going to establish the Land Commission, whose primary purpose is to do land audits, to make sure that we enforce the principle of one person, one farm.
I thought, Mr. Munzurazi, if I read well, there had been a few land audits. To my record shows that there were land audits, you probably find weaknesses in those land audits, do you?
No. The land audit never happened, Professor. In fact, the unit government, when it came, one of the things it was supposed to do was to carry land audits. That did not happen. And we are saying the land audit is not a one-off thing. It is a periodic thing. That's why we said in the Constitution, the Land Commission must carry periodic land audits. Because our thinking is, there is no wisdom in replacing a white mount farm owner by a black mount farm owner. The operation is the same. It is only operation changed color. What we want is to make sure that every time Zimbabweans, every Zimbabwean has one piece of land, so that we don't have multiple farm owners. The MDC thinks that if we revive our land, if we make our land more productive, we will create employment.
Now let's be clear. Among the MDC, of which you represent here, from the top leadership to everybody, do they have pieces of land, some of them?
I know not.
From your knowledge?
I know not of an MDC person who was a beneficiary of land reform. I am one official who did not get land.
You will get
land. Despite the fact that I applied for it.
All right. Now, let's get your views on the land. Let's finish this land issue very quickly.
What I was about to say is I don't agree at all with psychologists. It's come tender statistics about people who benefited and who did not benefit. All the people I know who benefited are ZANU PF top echelons. And what I can say is, after that land reform program, that's when we have Zimbabwe, a bread basket of food being turned to be a bread basket of begging. We are now importing maize from other countries when we have fertile lands. So you may see that we replaced a white commercial farmer who was doing much better than a black imperialist who was imposed by what? By ZANU PF.
I thought, to begin with, almost all of you, everybody was ZANU PF. Before the other parties came on
that's
board.
Not true.
Well, that's what I thought.
Can I come in on the issue of land just quickly?
Yes.
We want a free and really transparent land audit. That's fundamental. Without pointing fingers at whoever, at ZANU PF, or whatsoever, let us agree as people of Zimbabwe. Let's have a free and transparent land audit.
Maziwisa?
This is interesting because what we are getting from the MDC-T, Mavambo and MDC is that they want a land audit. They are not against the land reform, and I don't think that on its own is consistent with their previous statements on the matter. Because what we used to hear from Morgan Tsvangirai was, no, land reform is not proper, it's not in order, we do not land reform. Making insinuations that what we had, the regime that we had was appropriate. But we objected to that. But let me also say this. This notion that the land redistribution program was carried out along the lines of politics is not factual. I know of high-profile people in the MDC who benefited from the land reform program or who have farms. As long as you got that farm after 1980, you got it as a result of President Robert Mugabe's leadership. That didn't come. You didn't have a farm. Oshman Ncube has a farm. He didn't have it before 1979. You got it after 1980. The same with a few other examples. Now we are saying this is the real thing that we want. It is what our people, our counterparts in the politics have been objecting to. The thing that we do not have, we have not had maximum productivity. That has been because of the sanctions brought on this country unfairly by the MDC-T. The issue of lack of productivity has been a deliberate ploy by Finance Minister Tendai Biti to try and stifle a very progressive program. But
yes,
we are saying...
I will stop you now. We will take a very short break. And I said to you, you have come to look for jobs. And you have to present your facts to your employers, the voters. And you have to be careful that you are not putting the wrong foot forward. And that's what happens. I will take a very short break. When we come back, we'll raise other issues, and I'll give you more opportunities to articulate your views. Welcome back to election debate. In case there may be one of you we've just switched on your television sets and you wonder what program you're watching. It is election debate. I have in the studio representatives from 4 political parties explaining views, values of their political parties. Now, before we went for the break, we spent a good time talking about the land. I want you to switch on to something different. Maybe if you can touch on issues related to education, foreign policy, various economic issues, social issues. What adjustments do you want to make as parties? Maybe I can start with you, Sagomba, again.
Thank you, Professor. We recognize that as Zimbabwe, our destiny is intertwined with that of Southern Africa. And we need to strengthen, to make sure that our position in SADC is well strengthened, is not strained. I can see that within this campaigning period, some relations are being strained, but we need to make sure they're strengthened. We need to take our position to normalize our relations with the international community. We cannot operate in a vacuum. We need to normalize the relations. And this will unlock, number one, foreign direct investment. We cannot really say we will operate on our own as a country. We need foreign direct investments from the international community. We need to normalize our relations with the World Bank. We need to normalize our relations with the IMF and all other developmental international agencies. We need to normalize our relations as a country. And this will unlock a lot of value. It will also unlock employment opportunities for the people of Zimbabwe. As we have all agreed that the issue of unemployment is critical, we might not agree on the numbers on the first 5 years, but we all agree we need to create employment. And foreign direct investment is the most critical issue. So we need to normalize our relations. Let's not alienate other people. We need them.
Yes, we need them. Francis Mufambi, issues related to foreign policy, education, with your devolution as a revolution, what revolution are you going to cause on education and various other things?
As the revolutionaries and having Professor Ushmenguve as the commander-in-chief of this revolution, we are saying even the Smith regime, that was the worst racist regime, used to have a social security system for the elderly. But now the current regime which is there, which claims to be the one which is not imperialistic, does not have that for the elderly. It means these people are now living under authority time. So what we are saying is, as a party, we have proposed a security system, a security social system for these elderly people, for those who are disabled. Secondly, I can talk about education being the pillar of this nation. Our country being labeled the best maybe in Africa. So what we are saying is we should now maintain that best position in Africa. And how can we do that? We should now have better facilities in our schools, secondary schools, high schools, and even in our universities. Currently, our universities, our libraries are museum of books which carry a lot of irrelevant texts. So we are saying we should now rejuvenate the facilities in the academic arena. Also in the international or foreign policy, we are saying we should now maintain bilateral relations with other countries, whether you are from Asia, you are from the West, we are from anywhere. We should just have a mutual relationship with everyone, including the financial institutions, so that we can get that investment. We cannot live in a vacuum as a country.
Of course we can.
Right.
Mr.
So
Manzura,
Mr.
Manzura, I'm talking on education, foreign policy, social issues. Any adjustments?
Yeah, on foreign policy, Professor, Zimbabwe must be a friend of the world. We must be reintegrated into the international community of nations. Our diplomacy must be improved. We must never go to a situation where we call other heads of states toilets, where we call names to other people in other countries. We must be a friend of the world. We are going to be a friend of the West. We are going to be a friend of the East. We are going to be a friend of everyone. Then secondly, on education, we fortunately, we pushed in the Constitution the issue of free basic education, and that is now there in the Constitution. All we want to do as the MDC government is to make sure that this is concretized. We want to restore loans and grants for tertiary education students students at universities and colleges are living a miserable life because they have no access to these loans. We are going to restore them. But just coming to the issue of the land, I know I'm stretching myself too far, but coming to the issue of the land, the MDC was the first party in 2000 in its manifesto and the policy document to talk of land reform. That's why it had a policy which ran and a motto which ran land to the people and not to the politicians. But what we are saying to those who are on land is that we will make you have access to credit. We will make you have access to markets for your products. We will make you value add. For example, the farmers in Mutoko who grow tomatoes, hard-working farmers, what if we put a canning factory in Mutoko so that it comes from Mutoko as tomato sauce? It comes from Mutoko as secondary products. Those who produce potatoes, instead of selling the potatoes, you now sell them as processed as potato chips. So we are going to deal with the value
with
addition.
all those things, yes. Because of time, Maziwisa, anything new you are hearing?
Yeah, well, let me comment briefly on the issue of land. It's not accurate that the MDC-T has always been championing for land reform in this country. That is not factually correct. And even if what he is saying that they started doing so in 2000, even if that were true, which it is not, ZANU-PF has not been talking of land reform in 2013 or even in 2000. In 1963, when ZANU-PF was formed, the basis of forming ZANU-PF was so that land is given to the people of Zimbabwe. The rationale behind the different wars of liberation were so that we retake and repossess the land and give it back to the people of Zimbabwe. But let me talk of education. That is one area we can speak of as ZANU-PF with great pride. I think the facts speak for themselves. This is the most literate country on the continent. However, that area has suffered during the tenure of the coalition government with people playing politics and all kinds of things. And we would like to see that stop. We are going to make sure that we have free primary education. That was because of President Robert Mugabe. His presidential scholarship scheme would like to make sure that more funding is devoted along those lines. And we are going to make sure that we are known internationally as the educational hub that we are. The fact that we are all sitting here with these bright people, I think is testimony of President Robert Mugabe's educational policy. But let me also touch briefly on the issue of international relations. We will not, as ZANU-PF government, befriend people blindly. We will always insist on the fact that we're an independent country where we want our national sovereignty to be respected. That is who we are. We just do not go around and befriend people because we know other people come with strings attached. We will befriend people, we'll continue to urge regional and international trade, we'll speak strongly against the issue of sanctions, we'd like to see them wholesomely removed against the people of Zimbabwe. They're hurting our people, they're hurting our economic chances as a country, but we will not befriend people just for the sake of doing it.
Yes, Agomba, you were saying any discrepancies between what you said and what he's saying?
Not really, but we want to say to ZANU-PF, you need to be really true to the people of Zimbabwe in terms of the way you've handled the issue of international relations. It has not been handled well, but we are saying let's work together and normalize the relations. Together as MDC-T, together as you also as ZANU-PF. We include you in normalizing relations. So we are saying, let me add on education. The issue of education is critical, Professor. When we were going to school, true, we had free education, but along the way you lost the plot. And as a result, we now have children of the so-called chefs going outside the country to study. And we are saying, let's go back to the critical issue of education that is fundamental to the improvement of the economy. Let's also look at the curricula. Is it going to improve the livelihood of the people, or just having people, degreed people that are selling juice card these days that we're having? So we are saying, let's re-look at the issue of education as a people together and make sure that the people of Zimbabwe really benefit from this education.
Yes,
plan.
we're getting to the end of the program. Let me give each one of you a minute to your support base. How is it?
We have
Come July 31st, what is your support base like?
we are very happy with the support base we have, because everyone, if Zimbabwe will reject to have devolution, they will be the first people in the world to reject power. Therefore, we are saying they had enough of ZANU-PF, mostly 33 years in government, nothing have been done, only promises. So we are saying devolution is our new revolution, and Professor Oshmengube will take Zimbabwe to paradise.
Paradise?
This election,
your support base?
Yes, the people of Zimbabwe, for the people of Zimbabwe, this election is the most important election. It is about breaking with the past. And the people of Zimbabwe have to ask themselves an honest question. What is ZANU-PF going to do? What is a ZANU-PF government going to do, which it could not do in 33 years? What is it going to do in the next 5 years? What is it that President Mugabe is going to do at 90, which he did not do at 60, at 56?
Now,
for example,
good.
There is absolutely no change going to come from ZANU-PF.
Maziwisa,
there is change coming from MDC.
Well, thank you very much indeed.
Let me just breaking with the past.
Well, I think our record
Is that
speaks.
correct?
Our record speaks for itself. We will not do anything differently. We've always been consistent. We have a consistent and principled leader. We will not do anything differently. We're not ashamed of that because we stand for the people. Our policies are people-oriented policies, from education, from healthcare, from housing for all, from land reform to indigenization. And the people of Zimbabwe are coming in full support of all those policies. They have seen what they have seen over the last 4 years. We've launched over 59 community share trusts. We are promising guaranteed 2 million jobs as a result of the indigenization and empowerment program. And we want the people of Zimbabwe to understand this, that this election is not just as simple as choosing between 2 presidential candidates or 2 different political parties. It is more than that. It is about choosing the best path forward for the people of Zimbabwe. And they've seen what they've seen from the other political parties over the last 4 years. We are proud of what we've done, and we are confident of victory come July 31st.
Yes, Francis, you're talking of 33 years. The history of this country doesn't begin at 33, does it?
Okay, I was talking about ZANU-PF being in government for 33 years.
But
personally, I can't.
Yes, yeah, let me just correct you. Yeah. ZANU-PF, yes, but the struggle for this country may have very little to do with 33 years, does it?
Yes, yes. That's why I was saying we can't have people promising us for 33 years. I was talking from 1980. But presently, I will be ashamed even to see my father at 90 looking for a job.
Is that what you are worried about?
Well, I agree. I agree entirely. When President Mugabe got into power, Tanzania had Nyerere, and then it had Mwinyi, then it had Mkapa, president, and then it has President Kikwete. And when he got into Zimbabwe as president, as prime minister, there was South Africa had Botha, then it had de Klerk, then it had Mandela, then it had Mbeki, and now it has got Zuma. And the same applies to the Zambians. At 90 years, what does the man hold
Mr.
for the
Manjura?
future?
I mean, let's be clear. Is that a problem?
It is a problem where you do not renew leadership, because non-renewal of leadership is a harbinger of dictatorship. It is a harbinger of autocracy. And we are saying to the Zimbabweans, let's break with this past. We have had enough of one person for 33 years, let alone a person at 90 years.
Yeah, getting to the end of the program, the final word.
Well, this is precisely why the MDC-T will fail, the MDC will fail, Mavambo Kusiledon will fail, because they don't understand that elections are not about people's age. They are about policies. They're about activities, programs, what it is that you're offering the people of Zimbabwe. And the issue of dictatorship, we've had regular elections since 1980. People have been very clear about who they want to lead them. I would much rather we were led by a 1,000-year-old person than a 33-year-old idiot, somebody who does not know what they are doing. This country is a country of values, a country of principle. We want somebody who is able to safeguard that, not people who operate on the basis of a moral leadership, people who promise to create millions of jobs, but who actually create more babies than they create jobs.
Well, I have problems with time now. I wish we could continue, but very scintillating discussion it was. I wish we could get more time, and then we could go on and on and on and on. But I'm afraid we have come to the end of this program. Thank you very much for taking part, all of you, and wish you well in the forthcoming elections. And your employers, the viewers, have been taking notes, and I'm sure let's see what happens. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed for having us.
Go.